Ross, so you said you had some questions on the license. Go for it.
Yeah, so I've got a franchise system. I find it really interesting in it, and the legal difference between a franchise and a license. The franchise laws here in Australia are quite robust. And when you're supplying products and things like that to your franchisees, you have to tell them where it's coming from and how much money you're making on all the rest of it. What about in the license? Is that the same in the license? And how close is the license to your franchise agreement, and does it conflict with the franchise laws?
Okay, a little bit of background. I worked for New South Wales Fair Trading for a long time, so yep. I know how to run a really good scam, Ross. So I've got that well and truly covered. Yep. Fair Trading is a consumer protection agency run by the government here in Australia, in New South Wales in particular. I looked at a lot of businesses, a lot of structures about franchising and licensing. Probably, I'll take you on a quick history lesson if I can, everybody, is that in the old days, if you run a second location a couple of nights a week in a school hall, and your senior upline chief instructor or whatever, they come along and do the gradings and take the money, and every membership you go 50-50 with them, and it was a good arrangement, and you kept the money for teaching the classes and paid for the hall out of your own money. So that's the sort of pretext, if you like, of how we structured the license. So I looked at that, and I reverse engineered it from the end user's point of view, and we come up with a formula where everyone co-contributes to the website, some marketing, the insurances, which are really crucial, and products. And we have an online shop for all our products, all our branded products, and our license holders just purchase it through there, and then they on-sell it to their students at a market, at what we reckon RRP, a recommended retail price. So it sort of comes in and out of the franchise a little bit.
Yep.
It's like leaning against the fence, you're a little bit over the boundary line, but you're not doing anything that's going to impede upon the franchise law. So it's a license agreement structured in conjunction with them. So then we have different structures of within that, if you're at so many members, well, your fee structure is different. So as you go further up and get more members, your fee structure becomes less, but your participation becomes more. So it's about growing and developing and giving them opportunity. I'm trying to be broad brush, but that capsulates. So I certainly looked deeply into the franchise option. Franchise works best if you've got people coming in from the outside, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I found that very hard in the martial arts game. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. Clip the ticket on a license holder member. I'll just finish with Ross and I'll come to that one. The question, if you bring somebody else outside, it just doesn't work.
I would totally agree.
If they're homegrown, the fruit seems to be better.
Yep, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So if oranges from your orchard is much better from the oranges from the bloke down the road's orchard, So, so Chris has got there, percentage of students' fees, like you explained. We have a complete fee structure in that, but because it's a confidential agreement, I'm not going to disclose that. But it's fair to say, I'll give you an analogy. There you go, to answer all your question. If you invite me to your house and your partner makes a beautiful big sponge cake, this is an analogy I've used many times, and I come in and we have a cup of tea or coffee and you cut off a nice bit of cake and I eat it and thank you, and we talk about a range of things and I leave, but I just sit there and I hoe into your cake and I just eat most of it and leave you a thin slice. You're not going to remember what I talked about. You're going to remember, that guy who just come in and ate all that cake. What is wrong with him, That's the same with the license agreement. I just take a thin slice that works and make sure that everyone is making a good living and income, but with that little thin slice, they get a lot of knowledge, information and support to make sure they can do that. So our percentages are quite low, but when you spread it across on a per student basis, it's quite good. I hope that made sense.
Perfect. Any more questions on that? Otherwise, we'll jump over to the worksheets and just get some work done. Shane, you had a question, yes?
Yeah, g'day, Kevin, mate. I thought a license agreement, you could only license off two items of your, because I'm looking at either a franchise or a license agreement for a location, and my solicitor said that the franchise, you could franchise everything, your syllabus, the logo, the structure, everything, whereas in a license agreement you can only license off your logo, for example, and maybe a syllabus, but not everything.
Yeah, look, I mean, what state are you in, Shane?
Queensland.
Yeah, well, I've got locations in Queensland, so I'd probably maybe do a bit more due diligence, a little bit more research, because that's not 100% accurate. I'm not a solicitor because I have a soul, but but the license agreement it's a handshake agreement. It's basically I'll give you this stuff and lend you this stuff, and in return you'll give me a percentage of your income for me doing so. So that's in loose terms.
So in a handshake agreement, is it still a legally binding contract?
Well, it is. Now, let me just explain a few stories to you. Over the years, I met many people, and they've had franchise agreements, rock solid, and it's all ended in tears, and it's cost them $100,000 to get $10,000 back. Me, I would rather shake hands with someone and say, this is the agreement, this is what we're going to do. It's formatted, so it's more like a guideline, if you want to be more precise. It says, Shane, you do X, Y, and Z, I'll do A, B, and C. And you agree to that, and we just keep it that way. 33 years, I haven't had anybody leave and go and start somewhere else that were under license. I've had people retire their license or pass it on to someone else with my approval in their school, because of maybe they took a different path or family or career opportunity or moved away. It's not worth the hassle. That's what I'm saying. If someone wants to go and start their own location, I'm happy for them. Off you go.
Okay.
Yeah. And you've had to bankrupt. Yeah. So Ross has said he's had to bankrupt franchise, and it's not nice. Even though you win, you lose. So I'd rather just say, you're not happy here, go and be happy somewhere else. Move on. Life's too short.
Okay. So
that's my thoughts.
Yeah. So in that license agreement, who pays the licensing fee per year, or
they pay it? Each location pays a license fee per month.
Is that to you, or is that to
our
government
head office? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And is it sorry, mate? Is that license agreement legally binding with the Australian government, or you say yeah?
No, there's nothing illegal about it. It's an agreement. They agree to it, and that's it. It's like very similar to, if you like, when I was a building contractor. That was my first life. I come to your house and I agree to build your house, and there's an agreement. So it's a contract. So it's probably a license agreement / contract, small percentage of contract element. Is it enforceable? Not really. Why do you want to enforce it? Because if they don't want to be there, you don't want them there.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree.
And I'm not being dismissive in that, and I think you need to get the correct advice. But what I'm saying is the model I have, it doesn't encroach on any franchise laws, because I've investigated that, and it's just it's a model which is an agreement which is written on a bit of paper and with a little bit of contract element. And basically the contract part is that you're not going to misrepresent the club in any way, and if you do, there would be appropriate legal action taken, that sort of stuff. So
yeah, and the loser out of that would be yourself, right?
Yeah.
So you just go, whatever, and see you later. Not worth the hassle. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thanks, mate.
Yeah. Adam's got here. What was that one? Sorry, George. You want to read Adam's?
Yes. Yeah. So Adam, what about owning all the schools 100%, but pay really great salaries and bonuses on active students?
That is a really good model. I have done a number of locations and done that very same thing, and it works really well. But people who are getting paid aren't as passionate as people whose backside's on the line. You know, they'll be, if you can get them to be 80% good, they're great. You know, if you can get them, if they can be 80% as passionate as you, they are fantastic employees. And no disrespect to anyone, but we've all probably worked for somebody somewhere in our life. And yeah, I don't feel like punching those nails in as hard as I did yesterday. So, you know, you're not as passionate, whereas we're hungry. You own it, it's your license, it's your baby. So, you know, it's really important that you give people that authority to have their own identity still under your umbrella, and you know, paying staff. I've got great staff, and I pay them really well, and they're on bonuses as well, so they can earn really good money. But at the same token, they're just not quite as passionate. That's just my thoughts. And if they're not performing, well, you give them the boot, Ross. That's basically it. Obviously, you do the process of consultatively training them, retraining areas anywhere else, but front kick is my preferred weapon. So out the door they go.
All right, perfect. It looks like we just got a couple of questions here. So I just want to make sure everyone's well taken care of. I'm just going top to bottom. Carl, what percentage guideline for license fee? 10, 15%?
Yeah, probably round that. That sounds about right. It's on a sliding scale, as I mentioned. The more they grow, the less I get, but it's not about money for me. It's about pushing it along. So it's a very convoluted response and question. So, but that is a good guideline, 10 to 15%. You've got to put a dollar value on what you're inserting into them, you know.
We're going to jump on here. So, Chris, it sounds like good practice to treat each location almost as a license, even if you're the owner. Each location sets you up. Okay, cool. Does every location have the same license agreement, or does it differ for locations? Interesting.
What was that last one? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. So Shane's asking, does every location have the same license agreement, or does it differ for locations?
Every single license agreement is exactly the same, except for the percentage of payment, I guess the word is, or fees differentiates by numbers. So when they're at 51, it changes 101, 151, 200, 251, 300, and then 301 plus, it's at the minimal fee that you could possibly pay, which covers insurances and contributes to the running of the organisation. So if you want to sit on your backside with 50 members, well, you're going to pay a premium price. If you're going to actually get stuck into it, you're going to pay less. So it's incentive-based. Does that answer the question?
Cool. And I do want to ask Jesse, Adam, if you need some different context based on the United States, please just let me know. It sounded all clear. Yeah. So last question, Adam, if they do buy in percentage of the location and get percentage of net profits, is that a good model?
It's sort of like they're half pregnant. So you want to be either all in or all out. I know where you're coming from, and that's a good question. I haven't really looked at that model myself, so I can't give a definitive answer, but I just find that, yeah, the licensing is really, they own it. You want people to own their location. They're more passionate about it, and you're just helping them be successful. Yeah, they need to buy in. That's right, Ross. Exactly, 100%. They've got skin in the game. They'll play a lot better.